Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen Podcast by Eastmans. Now your host, Todd Helms.
Hey guys, while I got you here, make sure you're checking out, or I would highly encourage you to check out the entire suite of Eastman's YouTube content. That includes Eastman's Hunting TV on YouTube. Beyond the Grid is on YouTube. You can also find all of the Wingmen content, obviously, on YouTube, and all of our podcasts. Holy smokes, we have a massive suite of podcasts out there. So we have Eastman's Journal Podcast, which is hosted by Ike Eastman. We have Eastman's Elevated, hosted by Brian Barney. We have Eastman's Life of a Bow Hunter, co-hosted by Brian Barney and Dan Picard. That's a tag team one. They talk about all things bow hunting. We have my favorite podcast, the Wingmen Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Todd Helms. We have Eastman's Predator Pros, and we have the Western Huntsman Podcast, hosted by Jim Huntsman. You can find all those podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find all of our gear reviews across all of our properties that we do on YouTube. Those are Wingmen gear reviews, Eastman's Hunting TV gear reviews, and I'm trying to remember what I left out, guys. But my point is, there is a plethora of information and content out there on YouTube for you to check out and enjoy. This episode's brought to you by Federal Premium Ammunition. You know, I've been shooting Federal for a lot of years, guys, and I can't say enough good things about them. Everything from the TSS Black Cloud loads to the Blue Box Steel, and now the heavy bismuth loads that they have, and of course the traditional tried and true Black Cloud FS steel. They got a load for everything. Last year I had a chance to put some of the new stuff through the paces, and I cannot speak highly enough about it. It swats birds out of the sky, gives me awesome patterns, and with the new heavy bismuth, I can use some of my old shotguns in the field as well and not have to sacrifice performance. So guys, when you reach for shells this year, reach for Federal Premium. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wingmen Podcast. I believe this is episode like 149. Maybe it's 150. I can't keep track anymore. I just record them and send them out to you guys to listen to. I enjoy doing this. And today's guest on the podcast is Reid Vander Veen from RuffLand Kennels. RuffLand Kennels, as you guys know from our last episode, is the newest partner with the Wingmen brand. Super excited, very stoked to have RuffLand on board. It's a brand that we here at Wingmen have admired for a long time. The guys that brand's been around for quite a while in the space, but they got a lot of great things and innovative things coming down the pike and really kind of reshape the face of the whole brand. And that's what I've got Reid on today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about hunting and upland birds and how I'm going to try to convince Reid to become a waterfowler.
Ooh, there we go.
Reid, thank you for being on today, man. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do at RuffLand.
Yeah, sure. Excuse me. So I'm the chief marketing officer at RuffLand. I've been with the company going on a year and a half now. And I get the good fortune of leading a team of folks that helps to bring that brand to life. It's a lot of fun. I've worked in the outdoor space for a good while, and RuffLand is one of those brands and companies that's just an absolute blast to work with. As you could probably guess, I mean, the reason we get dogs is to bring joy to our lives, right, or enhance our lives somehow, especially in the hunting community. So, and that's just a very big passion of mine. So it's a lot of fun to get to work with an organization that loves dogs, that loves the outdoors, that we just get to hopefully try and have fun most days. And I have an absolute blast doing it.
So you said you got you've been in the outdoor space for quite a while. What's your background there?
Yeah, so I started doing a fair bit of contract marketing for different companies in the space, probably almost 10 years ago, I would say, and did a lot of what you'd call white label work. So I contracted my time out for everything from strategy level, like campaigns, all the way down to social and email content and things like that. Blog writing, I did a fair bit of blog writing. I've been in a few different magazines doing kind of the outdoor writer game. So I did that for a number of years, and that's slowly but surely morphed into, I would say, a more advanced role, helping companies kind of figure out long-term plans and strategies for how to do things. And RuffLand is a local brand to me, so they've always kind of been on a ideal client list, I guess, if you will. And here, probably, like I said, about a year and a half ago, I got in touch with the team there, and it was one of those right time, right place, right conversation sort of a deal where, if you've been paying any attention, RuffLand's experienced quite a bit of growth over the last while. I think this was the third year in a row now that we've been on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the U.S. list. So there's just a lot of, I would say, maturation that happens when you grow a company that quickly. And there were a couple open seats. So I started as a contract employee, as a fractional CMO, which is what I was doing full time. And then very quickly just fell in love again with the company and the opportunity, and said, hey, let's do this full time, and jumped on. And I've been having a blast ever since.
That's cool, man. It's always interesting to me to hear how people got where they are today, and it's usually involves a dream and an opportunity and a lot of hard work. I think in today's world, it's easy to see the success and not see all of the work that goes into everything.
Yeah.
Late nights, early mornings, long days, and just not giving up, just keeping after it when you find something that you want to do. I remember sitting down with Dan Compton at Federal Premium up the road from you guys in Anoka, Minnesota, and he was telling his story and how he got involved got his job at Federal, and he just kind of right place, right time, like you said, but he was also willing to take a jump, willing to take that leap. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. If you've got an idea and you got a dream and you're good at what you do and you're willing to work hard, there's usually opportunity out there for you.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. That's, really, that's kind of my path, my story for how I ended up here. But even beyond that, that's truly RuffLand's origin story too. Way back in the day, if you can say that. It feels like you need to anymore, but early 2000s, 2001, 2002, the company started with a couple guys just making contract agriculture parts. So bins, feeders, bulk tanks, roping steers. We've kind of done it all. But then 2009 comes, and orders start drying up when the economy slows down and things like that. And the guys said, hey, we got to have a product that's original to us that we can try and generate some demand for. And took a leap, the exact type of deal you're talking about, took a leap on a product and had really the first of any kind of what you'd call a performance kennel, a performance product in that space. And the rest, we can fast forward 15 or so years now. The rest is history, and it's been it's been a wild ride ever since. But that's exactly what it was. It's a couple guys that just said, hey, we're going to take a risk. We think there's an opportunity here. And yeah, that was my story too. On the fractional side, I was, we'll say, gainfully employed at a handful of different places, and always felt that itch for, it's just something else, something maybe a little bit more entrepreneurial in nature, and got close to taking that leap a couple times, and ended up in another role. But then eventually it was like, hey, it's time to go. We're going to try this, and or we got to stop talking about it, sort of a thing. And my wife was super supportive. The timing made zero sense. This is right at the start of COVID. We had a third kid on the way. single income family, like, hey, we're going to go do the self-employment thing. So none of it really made any sense.
Been there, dude. I've been there.
It's gotten me here now, and I've had an absolute blast with it. It's been a ton of fun, and I'm really enjoying it.
Good for you. Yeah, I won't go into my whole story, but it's very similar. It was kind of like making the leap from being an educator and a coach to doing what I do now with Eastman's hunting journals and getting to be the face of Wingmen. And
yeah,
I didn't plan this. It wasn't something I set out to do. It just fell in my lap, and I hear you. But being willing to go, you know what? Let's try it. My wife was very supportive. It was kind of similar. She said, well, nobody's taking your master's degree away. Nobody's going to take your teaching certificate away.
Right.
You can always go back to the classroom. And I thought, hey, you're right. And well, that was like 10 years ago now. Hey, it's I love it. Yeah, I remember the first time that I saw a RuffLand kennel.
Okay.
And it was in the Cabela's in Mitchell, South Dakota. Because you guys are roughly Sioux Falls, South Dakota area.
Yeah, right on the edge, a tiny little suburb called T. But yeah, all of our products made right here in the southeast corner of South Dakota.
That part of the state, I mean, South Dakota in general, but that part of the state, every time I go through there to visit family back in Iowa and Michigan, it just seems like it gets bigger, and Sioux Falls gets bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. It's kind of a hub of industry, but yeah, I could think of worse places to live for sure. You got some pretty good opportunities to get outdoors there as well, but
definitely. I joke with people that there's nothing to do here, right? There's no birds, there's no deer, there's no turkeys around, no waterfowl anywhere to be found.
Right.
But no, we're extremely fortunate in South Dakota. I think South Dakota is a really unique place for a couple of reasons. I mean, it's obviously great for waterfowl and upland and other game birds and that, but like even on the big game side of things, when you have, East River and West River, as we call it here in South Dakota, it's almost like two completely different landscapes. So you've got
different
whitetail and prairie on the east side of the state, and then you go west side of the state and you've got Badlands, you've got Custer State Park, you've got some of these incredibly highly sought after areas for big game tags like elk and bighorn sheep and things like that. It's pretty cool to be able to say that you can do all that as a resident in the same state. That's pretty awesome.
It is. It's we have a little argument here in the office about where the West begins. And for a Midwestern guy, a Northwoods guy like myself, I'm like, dude, the West begins when you cross the Missouri River at Chamberlain.
Yeah.
In South Dakota. And all I can equate it to is like crossing the Mackinac Bridge going to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's just different. The air smells different. It looks different. It's got a different feel. It's crazy. That East River is prairie farm ground,
Yep.
And you get West River and it's different. The vegetation's a little different. You start seeing some yucca, some prickly pear. There's coal seams in the ground. There's juniper. And I'm like, it just feels different. And then, of course, the further west you go, you get, over towards Rapid City. And like you were saying, I love South Dakota. My wife and I have joked that if we ever had to leave Wyoming, South Dakota would be very high on the list of places to live. Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
But back to that kennel, man. That was, and I think designs have changed and updated a little bit. I think materials have updated some since that first one I've seen that I saw, but it was, I don't remember the exact year, but it was about that time, about that 2010 time frame, I think, is when I saw my first one. And don't quote me on a specific year, but that Cabela's in Mitchell is always a get out and stretch your legs point for us when we're headed back east to visit family. And, usually hit Culver's and go walk around in Cabela's for a little while, let the dogs out around that pond.
The most Midwest thing you could do, right?
Exactly,
hit up a hunting outfitter and a Culver's.
Guilty.
That's awesome.
But anyway, my wife and I, we had our oldest daughter was like 1 at the time. And she was toddling around in there, and there were these kennels all stacked up. And I got looking at them. I thought, well, that's a lot nicer than that piece of junk plastic thing that's cracked and broken that's in the back of my pickup right now,
Right.
under the topper. I got looking at them and I thought, wow, those are pretty substantial. And like I said, I think the newer versions are even more substantial than that original version.
Correct.
But that was the first time that I'd seen like a higher quality, as you guys say, performance level dog box. You know, if you wanted back then and back when I was a kid, if you wanted something, you know, heavy duty, it had to be diamond plate, aluminum, you know, and insulated, and they were heavy. They weren't fun to get in and out of a vehicle. They were not portable at all. Once they were in there, they were pretty much in there. And I'm not so sure they were all that. I mean, they're safe, but you could crush diamond plate and crack it pretty easily, you know, where the new roto-molded materials have some bounce and some give and some shock absorption to them. Anyway, it just struck me as funny, and I wish I had the video or the picture. I'm going to go through my Google images and see if I can find it, but I'm pretty sure I have a video of my 1-year-old in one of those RuffLand kennels.
Absolutely. Yeah, they make excellent toys for the kids. I mean, they come in obviously a huge box. So that's what we see most families is, you know, like everything else, they end up being a toy for the kids, just as much as they are a function for the dog or the parent. But yeah, it's pretty cool what we see when you get, you know, families start getting plugged into that space and buy into the idea that, hey, we should maybe invest a little bit in this area. We get pictures of kids, we get pictures of critters that you can't even imagine in and out of these things, which is kind of a riot. It's pretty fun, just about everything. I saw we recently got sent some pictures of 3 grizzly bear cubs in one of the kennels. We've had a lot of different wildlife from like sanctuaries and rescues and rehab facilities and things like that. So that's pretty cool. We have a newer product called the Titan. It's essentially the size of a small New York apartment. It's a very large kennel. It's like 4 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. Wow. So it's a massive kennel meant for your, your ultra large breed dogs. And then even honestly, livestock here in the Midwest, obviously you can't get too far from agriculture. So you got folks that are bringing, 4-H animals to the county fair or just transporting animals around anyway. But yeah, that's I've had 3 beef calves in there at one time. So it's a pretty substantial kennel.
Yeah.
It does fit under the topper of a truck. I had to take my Lear locker out of the top of my truck to get it in, but it did fit underneath the topper. And it just fits inside the wheel wells. So, but we get a lot of pictures of people in that for some reason. Everybody goes in there first and takes a picture, and then they send the dog in after that. So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we were, like I said, at that time, she crawled right in there and I shut the door and I was like, well, see you later, and we're playing around obviously, but yeah, the idea of having a transport for your pets, I mean, obviously in the hunting side of things, our gun dogs are incredibly valuable. They're more than just a money thing for people. They're part of the family at my house, 2 Labradorks running around doing Labradork things.
Yep.
And they're just part of who we are. They go everywhere we go, and having the ability to put them someplace safe, someplace warm. I think about last year, coming home this time of year after Christmas from Northeast Iowa, visiting family, coming across South Dakota, it was like 24 below zero. And I had, covers on kennels, and the dogs were warm. And one of them was my he was 13 years old at the time. And I was a little worried about him. And I remember getting off the temperature really dropped in West River. I remember getting off on an exit and checking on him. He was warm as toast back there, and he was comfortable.
Yeah.
But having that peace of mind, I mean, it's more than just like getting in an accident, because that's a rare thing, but it's nice to know that your pets aren't going to be flying around in the back of a kennel, or, we see it all the time out here. The dogs that stay on the flatbed survive, and the ones that don't they
Right.
don't survive. And aren't, I don't see those dogs necessarily as pets. They're more, livestock dogs you usually see riding around on ranchers' flatbeds and stuff. But yeah, having a kennel that's durable, it just makes sense. The dog's not going to chew it up. I don't know how many of those cheap plastic kennels I bought from Walmart and other stores, but I bet money that by the time I got to the fifth one, I was invested more than the cost of one RuffLand that is going to last me forever with a lifetime warranty on it.
Right. Yeah, I've been there too. I mean, I went the same route. When we first had dogs, and honestly, I grew up originally the type of way where it was just throw the dog in the back of the truck, and
Me too.
and that's it's easy, it's convenient, right? But then you start working at a place like RuffLand, and like you said, when you have an investment that's even if it's just financially, most hunting dogs aren't exactly inexpensive, and
I was going to say,
and then you think about the time and energy that you've invested in them. Yeah. So, and then you start working, at RuffLand, and the sheer volume of crash testimonials that we see, which we never want to see that. We never want to see, but it's pretty impressive how many emails and messages on social media, things like that we'll see where it's like, hey, you saved my dog's life. Or even in some instances, quite a few of them actually, we've seen where, an officer will credit the kennel for actually saving the family's life inside, like during a rollover, because the extra, vertical rigidity that's inside that vehicle kept the roof from being completely collapsed during a rollover. We've got multiple examples of that specifically. And probably rightfully so. We don't post very many of those, right? Like those are pretty traumatic.
Right.
Those are pretty traumatic instances. So not a lot of people get to see that, but it's one of those deals where it kind of warms your heart a little bit when you see somebody make it out alive and their dog's okay and the family's okay. And even if it wasn't that serious of a crash, like if a car is immobilized, just if you've got a couple dogs with you, like the door pops open, windows crack, that dog is boogieing. We hear stories like that all the time too, where it's like, I'm never going to not have a kennel again, just for the reason that when I got into my last crash, even though it wasn't that intense, we lost my dog for 3 hours. Like people couldn't, dog traumatic experience too, and they just boogie. They
get out of there. Yep. No, you're spot on. And I mean, obviously those are worst case scenarios, and
right.
Nobody, we plan for those, but things happen. But more than that, to me, having a quality product that I can it's not going to break. I'm going to have it for decades.
Right.
I think about the old diamond plate dog box that my dad had made way back in the day. He's still got that thing. It's beat up and it's popped rivets and different things, but he's still got it. And back in the day, that was what you did. Well, it's no different with the stuff like this. And plus they're light. I mean, they don't weigh anything. You can grab them and move them and put them in different vehicles. I think about my North Dakota pheasant hunt earlier this year with my dad. Threw a kennel in the back of his Yukon because he wanted to take his vehicle and not mine. And I don't blame him. It rides a lot nicer than mine and gets better fuel, better gas mileage. But
yeah, I
said, I'm not just going to throw a muddy, wet dog in the back of your not brand new, but new to him Yukon.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I appreciate that. And put the kennel back there, put the dog in it. No worries. Go out for supper that night after a hunt, pull the kennel out, put the dog in it, put him in the barn, at where we're at, or put him out behind the house. Come back an hour or two later and he's sound asleep in there.
Yeah.
Just convenience and security and peace of mind. And then having a product that you're going to have for forever, that's the thing. So tell me about the lifetime warranty, because that's something that you see all the time, and I always think back to to the line from Tommy Boy about warranties and guarantees, but I'm showing my age here, but
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, talk about a lifetime warranty, because stuff happens, things
Yep.
break, latches break,
Yep.
things happen.
Yep. So one of the things that we're super proud about, obviously, is the fact that everything that we make with our kennels and our roto-molded products are made right here in the USA. So, and in the heartland too, right, where all this hunting stuff, maybe not originated, but at least we are fully committed to this, right? Besides agriculture, hunting is the biggest driver of the South Dakota economy in many states in the Midwest, I'm sure. But yeah, so for our lifetime warranty, it's just, we stand behind the product. It's a high quality product, and unless you've got a dog that's just absolutely hell bent on destroying something, we're going to stand behind that product for as long as you own it. And we say oftentimes when people ask about that warranty, like, well, my dog's a chewer, or my dog's a clawer or whatever, and it's like, yeah, it'll be okay. I promise you that. I mean, we won't sell anything that's not up to our specs for safety and all that stuff. If you've got a scratcher, the kennels, the way they're built and kind of how they're designed, where the ventilation holes are and how many they are and the size of them, it's kind of meant to give the impression of a den, really. I mean, dogs are obviously den creatures. So usually they'll tire out if they're scratching or whatever, and it's not too big of a deal long term. And if the base of your kennel gets, here's just, I guess, an insider tip too, if the base of your kennel gets scratched up or something like that, if you don't have a pad or a mat or something in there, just sand it down with like a rotary sander or piece of sandpaper. And then if you really want to make it look like it came off the factory floor, just take a lighter to it and it'll shine up. It'll take all that resin, just shine it all up. So but like chewing, I've seen actually one photo, I'll admit to this, and I've seen one photo where a dog has gotten out of a RuffLand kennel, and that was a case of extreme neglect. I believe it was a pit bull. Not to dog on that. I've had pit bulls. I love pit bulls, but like an extreme neglect case where that dog was left alone for a long time, and it was a survival thing. And that dog just started, one little bit on a hole, ventilation hole, and finally made its way out. But like in all of the history, I've seen one picture. So it's not, I can't say that it's escape proof, but in terms of it's pretty darn close, right? So yeah, it's just a product that we stand behind. Simple stuff, we'll fix it. But yeah, we honestly run into very few issues, and we try to set up the products in a great way too. Like, we've got extra door accessories. So for example, if your dog, the thing about wire crates, to use them as an example, the wire crate that a lot of people, use as a house crate or something like that. I think one of the issues that people face with dogs in that environment is there's very little separating the dog from the space, right? Like, I can see everything, I can smell everything, I'm not missing anything. When you actually add a little bit more confinement, it'll tend to settle that dog down a little bit, so they're not biting themselves or biting through those wires and stabbing themselves in the mouth or on the foot, trying because they cracked a wire loose or something like that.
It's funny you say that, because when I crate train all my pups, I use my kennels for transport for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have those wire collapsible crates in the house. I put blankets over them.
Yeah.
And it calms the dog right
Absolutely.
down. It makes the space dark. They can't see out as well. It's like you said, it's more of a den, and that has helped. But I can totally see using a RuffLand because it's more confined. I could totally see using it in the house, and having, a couple of them. Have one in your vehicle, have one in your house, and that's
Absolutely.
where the dog goes.
Yeah, it's just a welcome space, right? It's just like being in your own bed at night. Like, if you're used to that, dog's going to be that much more comfortable traveling on the road. My dog, I've got a yellow lab. Penny is her name. I love her. She's a big gal. I love the big dogs pushing through the cattail sloughs up here in South Dakota. But she'll get in because she knows what's on the other end of traveling, but she just isn't particularly fond of being in the car. So when you can throw, a kennel that doesn't have a ton of visibility, they're not getting, I don't know if it's motion sick or whatever. You throw an insulated cover over the top, and there's something about that settles them down and tends to make that go a little bit easier for everybody.
Oh, I completely
And then
agree.
the house crates too. I mean, that's actually, I mentioned the Titan kennel. That's one of the biggest things that we've seen with that product. Not to get overly promotional, but like we've seen a ton of people that'll use that. They want to give the dog just a little bit more space, than they would in the car, because when you're traveling in a vehicle, for safety reasons, certainly you don't want an oversized kennel. But then, I mean, obviously when you're making cross country trips, when you're going states away to hunt, like space is typically at a premium in the vehicle. So a lot of people make the mistake of getting a kennel that's a little bit too big, if anything. But when you get into that house crate setting, I know a ton of people that the dog's 7, 8, 9 years old and it still sleeps in the crate every night, just because that's its place, right? And they might not have a door on it anymore, but we have a ton of people that will use house crates and oversize them, get an XL if they're typically running in an intermediate or a large, or get a Titan because they want the extra space in there. And honestly, it kind of doubles as a table with how big that thing is. So it works out pretty well for everything.
Just put it in the garage, use it as a workbench.
Yeah, absolutely.
You totally could. Throw a sheet of plywood on the top, but yeah, that's
Definitely.
awesome. So when you brought up a good point about kennel size.
Sure.
I'm an intermediate guy. My labs, I got 2 boys. One's he's 6 months old, so he's about 3/4 grown right now. He's probably going to be about like his daddy, about 70 pounds. Not an overly large dog, but not a small dog either.
Sure.
And my kind of rule of thumb, the reason I go with the intermediate size kennels for travel, number 1, they fit side by each in the back of a vehicle really nicely.
Yep.
Number 2, the dog has just enough space to be able to stand and turn a circle in that crate without a bunch of room wandering around. They're kind of confined in there, but they can, on a longer trip, they can stretch. They can, stretch out a little bit. What are your thoughts on picking the right size kennel for your dog?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. Honestly, it's one of the most common we get. The way I like to recommend it is very similar to what you just described. I want my dog to be able to enter that kennel, spin around, and then just be confined enough where there's kind of this natural inclination. Like I'm pretty close here. I think I'll just lie down.
Right.
I don't want my dog to get any exercise in a kennel, especially if I'm traveling. House crate, different story, but totally agree with you. Stand up, stretch your legs, move around a little bit, change position. If I'm traveling in a vehicle, I want my dog to be able to enter, turn around, and just feel this kind of natural pressure to just lay down and get comfortable and not do a whole lot of moving around after that. Some people will use the rule that when the dog is laying down, they should be touching 3 sides. So they've got their back up against one side and their butts up against another one, and the legs are over here or something like that. That one works just as fine, just as well. Also, that rule of thumb totally works. I've never tried to talk anybody out of that. The mistake, like I mentioned, the most common mistake when picking out a kennel size is that people are gonna see that their dog has to crouch a little bit to get through the door, and they're like, oh, that's too small. And it's like, oh. Everybody's use case is different. That's the other thing. Like everybody's use case is different. You want your dog to have more room. You're not the type that's gonna you pack really light, right? You're not competing for space. You got a long bed truck with a big topper on it, and you got all sorts of space in there. Sure, whatever. But from a safety standpoint and just a real estate standpoint, I try to encourage people to get if you feel like you're in between sizes, err on the side of going maybe on the smaller end if you're going to be traveling any sort of distance with that dog.
Yeah, great info, great answers for folks, because I get that question. I'm not even, a kennel expert, but I get asked that same question. How'd you pick your crate? And
yeah,
honestly, the same kind of thing that you just talked about. And for us, as a family, this maybe sound a little harsh, but my dogs are the least important part of what I put in a vehicle.
Yep.
Living and breathing things.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
My kids and wife are my wife and my kids are infinitely more important than my dogs,
Right.
And do I want my dogs to be comfortable? Do I want them to be safe? Absolutely. But every time we stop, we're going to get the dogs out, let them stretch, let them do their thing. You know, I don't typically give my dogs a lot of water when we're traveling. We'll water them after we get where we're going. You know, I'm not depriving them. If it's hot, obviously that's a little different.
Right.
But yeah, I need that real estate in a vehicle with 3 kids. You know, a family of 5, you eat up real estate inside vehicles pretty fast, as you know.
That's right. Yep, for sure.
And if I can minimize that footprint of the dogs and pack around those crates, you know, over the top of those kennels, whatever, it's helpful for sure.
Yeah.
And it limits as you know, when you have 3 kids, you're also limited on what kind of vehicle you're driving. You know, I can't buy a sedan and fit everybody in it and drive 17 hours to Northeast Iowa.
Right.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, you can do a lot of things, right? It's just whether or not you actually want to.
Right. Yeah, and I'll add too, like, you're 100% accurate on that. But let's say you're the other guy, right? It's just you and your buddy or your old man or your brother, and you guys make a once-a-year trip somewhere to go hunting, and you've got a little bit more real estate. Or let's say you don't hunt that often. One trip once a year, every other year, something like that. You might make a trip, but you're running around in an SUV, and you still want to be able to put groceries in the back. Well, then one of the nice things about our products is that any kennel that's an intermediate size or larger, you can actually get in 4 different door configurations. So you can get a front door only. You can get a double door that's got a front door and a back door. You can get a double door that's got a door on the side on the right or a door on the side of the left. So then you start to get all sorts of different configuration options when it comes to how am I packing my vehicle? Am I letting my dog actually in the back door of that Yukon you're talking about, because I want to be able to have my cooler have easy access or something right out of the back? Or my buddies, I got to pick him up in 3 hours. I don't want to have to move everything when I stop to pick him up. I'm going to move the kennel and all my other accessories a little bit further forward, let that dog in the side door. And then he's still got, you know, the ability to come in or out from different ways. That's a really popular thing that we see too, folks, you know, especially if you're running more than one dog. You got a kennel and you got a 2 or 3 dogs, and you can set them sideways in the back of your truck, and you've got one that's opening this way, one that's opening that way, and maybe you've got a double door going either direction in the front. There's a lot of different options that you have with that. And then I would add too, one of the things that we've really been focusing on for the last couple of years, honestly, is how do we make the travel experience even better for the dog, both the dog and the handler. So when you start adding things like a top tray, right? Like you said,
I was just going to bring that top tray up.
And it's like, well, now I can set all of the dog stuff inside there, and it's not bouncing around. I can throw my collars, my leashes, my treats, food, or whatever it might be. And even on that front, traveling with food, there's a couple products that RuffLand has. Again, I don't want to get overly promotional on this, but the Chow Box is a relatively new product for us. There's 2 different sizes. They hold 15 pounds or 30 pounds of food. I can't tell you how many times I mumbled under my breath things that I probably shouldn't be, because I had a bag of kibble spilling all over the back of my truck or my SUV, or like most labs, they've never seen a meal they don't want, right? So I show up somewhere and my, the bag was open in the garage, and Penny's got 3 days worth of food in her stomach, and she's feeling all the effects of that. And now I got to go find some kibble somewhere, because, I only brought enough for 5 days or whatever. So when you have products like the Chow Box or the water hole that makes it super convenient, you can pull off on your road trip you're just describing. You can pull off on the side of the road, and you've got a gallon of fresh water sitting there waiting for that dog, and you let them have it for a little bit, make sure they're hydrated, obviously, like you said, and then you tip that thing on its side again, throw it back in the truck, and it's fine. And you got water the next time you need to stop. There's just simple things like that where trying to think through kind of that next iteration of how are people actually using products? How are people actually traveling with their dogs? What are the challenges that they're facing, and trying to address those with all these other fun products that are super economical, super efficient. You can load up the dog faster than honestly you can load the kid, because just throw the kennel in if it's not already in the car or the truck, grab a chow box and water hole, and out the door you go. Or just for no other reason than just the ease of, once you arrive somewhere, to recreate the environment that your dog has at home, in the garage, in the shop. You got your bowl, you got your chow box. He knows when you open that, it's time to eat. He's not going to get into it. He's not going to tear into it. Everything's staying fresh. I don't know. It's really fun to be able to design products in such a way that allow people, whether you're an upland guy or a waterfowl guy, whether you're a hunter or a non-hunter, you just have family dogs, that whatever you require in a travel system for your dog, that you've got all these different ways, kennel pads, accessories, covers. That's like, Todd has the ultimate version of that travel system for him, and it's the right products, even matches your, we got a lot of people that get excited about having different colors, that I want orange to match my dog.
You guys have a pile of different colors, man. I love it.
Yeah. So it's been really fun to be able to help people create an extension of themselves, a little bit, personality, show off their personality, and still have these products that are super functional, super easy and efficient to use. And it just makes hopefully it takes away some of the headache of traveling with a dog, or some of the dangers of it.
I love it. And just talking to you, we obviously put together an order so we get product and get it using it in the field. And I'm already thinking of stuff that I need to add. I'm like, just visiting with you, I've got more ideas rolling around in my head now.
Absolutely. It's really cool. It's so fun when we interact with people. I mean, like I said at the very outset, dogs are just fun, right? Obviously they're a pain in the butt, and you got to train them, and they, we have accidents or whatever. They're just like kids in many ways, but the reason we get dogs is because they enhance our lives somehow. They bring joy. 100%. They're fun. They allow us to do things like go hunting and make that easier and better. And it's so cool to be able to, people come up to you and be like, look at my system. They're pulling up the picture of the back of their truck or their SUV or their trailer that they've had set up. We got people that have, I don't know how many people tell me, I've got 6 of your kennels and they got 2 dogs, or we've got customers that have every color we've ever made just because they wanted to. And it's like, man, 11, that is a commitment, but we love it because people just want to be able to customize it and make it their own.
No, you're 100% correct. Yeah, I've got the products pulled up on the page, and I had overlooked the usefulness of that top tray, of that Easy Rider top tray. Completely overlooked it until we started talking.
Totally underrated product.
Oh, dude, the wheels are spinning.
It's not an expensive addition.
I need 2 of those.
You know what's really cool, and we've had a ton of people send us pictures of this, to the point where this might be another thing that comes down the pike at some point. But we've had people, so the top tray and our water toppers and some of these other products, they're designed in such a way, just like our kennels can be stacked on top of each other, the molds are meant to be attached to each other. So you can actually put that top tray on, bolt it down. It comes with the bolt kit and everything like that. So that thing ain't moving. Or you can not bolt it in and just leave it so that it's super easy and in and out, on and off. But we've had people that build like homemade shelf systems and almost make a mini decked drawer system with those top trays, and they make drawers. The kennels are a little bit elevated. They can see the dog. If it's in an SUV, maybe they're getting a little bit more airflow because they got a double door kennel, and now that it's higher, they're getting that airflow from the front. But then they're using the top trays as bottom trays, which is it's just so cool to see how people use the products and what their systems end up looking like.
People's ingenuity is incredible. And everybody builds their own system. And when we knew we were gonna, start working with you guys and partner with you, I was told get a list together of some products. And I'm looking through stuff, and I'm like, yes, definitely. And then now I'm rethinking what I'm like, I need to add that. That's a really good idea, because I've got these, not 90% of the year, I have two of these RuffLands will never leave the back of my pickup. You know, I mean, they'll come in and out for times and say, I got to go get a load of firewood. I'm not going to take the dogs with, you know, but 90% of the time, my dogs are everywhere we are. And I remember when I bought Hondo actually from Southern Oak Kennels, I think I made those guys a little bit nervous because they were like, well, what hunting season's only so long. What's this dog going to be doing, you know, the rest of the time? And I said, honestly, one of his duties is going to be grizzly bear protection.
Sure.
And they kind of looked at me like, what? And I'm like, well, that's a real thing where I live, dude. You know, we don't, when we go on hikes, when we go camping, when we go elk hunting, the dog, I have one or both Labradors with me because I need to know when there's a bear. And camping this summer, middle of the day, you know, unashamedly, I'm taking a nap, about dozed off. Hondo starts barking, and I hear my wife, kids, get in the house or get in the cabin. We had rented a cabin in the mountains, and I hear the lever on the 4570 get worked, and Hondo's out there barking his head off, and I go out, and I mean, he wasn't nose to nose with a bear, but there was a grizzly bear right there, and he was keeping that bear honest.
That's wild.
And I like I said, I was taking a nap or trying to take a nap.
You're on vacation, you're in the hills, you got to take a nap.
Yeah, there was no nap after that. But you know, so those dogs are a part of what we do every single day. They're our pets. We love them. They're hunting machines, you know, they're protection for us in the hills or in the mountains. The least I can do is to have a sweet setup for them to travel.
Sure.
You know, absolutely. The least I can do. You know, and you also got me rethinking the whole wire crate thing, that setup that I've got in my garage. And my dogs don't fight the wire crate. In fact, my oldest Hondo, he loves it. If the garage is open, he's in his crate, just snoozing. He loves it. Yep. My young dog's learning, but I'm thinking, why not get a couple of larger RuffLands? They'd love those even probably more than the wire crate because there's less outside stimulus, you know, to bother them. But anyway, man, this is fun. You've got my wheels turning, Reid. I love it.
That's good. No, we love it. It's so cool to be able to do that. I mean, and some people will find us, right? They'll find the products, they'll discover them because they were walking around in Cabela's like you were, and like, you know, we should maybe invest in a kennel but there's a ton of other people that are just like, you know, they're like, I used to be, you know, my dog rides in the back seat or rides in the back of the truck, wherever it wants to be. And then, you know, the entry point into working with us is like, I need a solution to have water. I don't want to carry water bottles. My dog can't drink out of a water bottle. I'm spilling it all. I need a solution that's got water. I don't need a ton, but I need to be able to travel across the country and give the dog some water. And then, I need a chow box, or I need some way to store food that's going to keep it dry, keep it fresh, the dog can't get into, that's not going to spill. And you just start piecing these little mini systems together, and you know, water hole is less than $50. The smaller chow box,
I'm looking at the water hole right now, and it's like you said, you tip it on its side, it's not going to spill. You stand it up and it fills.
Yeah, it's just gravity fed. It's one of those kind of like slap yourself in the forehead, like obvious products. Like, I've not discovered something like this before? But yeah, it holds a gallon of water, and then you lay it on its back. And when you're putting it in the truck, and unless you're, you know, driving like Jeff Gordon, or if you're, you know, heading to the field, you're bouncing level B gravel roads, which there's plenty of those around here. I mean, it's not like it's spill proof completely, but if you're cruising across the country, that thing's not leaking. I mean, you can hold that thing upside down and shake it, and it's going to stay pretty well watertight. So it's just a really simple product, and it's just kind of ingenious for the value that you get out of, you know, what, $40-$50, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, because we've all, you know, you talk about the systems, and admittedly, I use a Yeti bucket, one of those those hard, heavy duty Yeti buckets.
Yeah.
And it works, but it takes up a ton of space, you know, and it's awkward because it's round. I feel like I'm always packing around it, you know, and it works. I mean, it works good. It keeps things dry, keeps mice out of my dog's food, you know, It does all those things. But I'm thinking about, man, a water hole, a chow box, those top trays, and then it's all right there up on top of the kennels.
Yeah.
I can have one of my nimble little children get up there and get everything out, so I don't have to crawl all the way to the back of my truck to do it.
That's why you got kids, right?
Yep, exactly. Because I'm too cheap to buy a topper with flip out side windows.
Okay.
I can't reach in there. I got to crawl. I'm old school. Got to crawl up in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of ingenious stuff. You guys have a ton of great products, and like you said, I don't want this to be super markety and infomercial, but also I want folks to listen to this and go, I need to go to that website and take a look, or I need to run to, Shields or Fleet Farm, or I don't know all the stores where people can find everything, but all you got to do is look around and you're going to find RuffLand products. And having the ability to just kind of look at them, go handle them, you're going to be impressed. I remember, like I said, the first time I saw one of those crates, those kennels, I thought, well, that's a lot better than what I've been using. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the case, right? That's what we're hoping for anyway.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk hunting, man. We've been talking shop this whole time. You are
forgive me for that. That's probably my fault.
I wanted to, because it's new products for me for the most part, and a new partnership, and I want folks to be able to go, okay, they got me intrigued. I'm listening. I'm going to go check this stuff out.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. I mean, we didn't go through a gauche of what you guys have. I mean, there's a ton of product out there. Lots of cool stuff. Go check it out. Anyway, you are admittedly an upland addict, and growing up and living where you did and do.
Yes, sir.
Rightfully so. How's your hunting been this fall?
It's been a little bit fewer and further between than I would like. I'm in the process of building a new house on our farm, and I'm doing a good chunk of the work myself. So I've had a pretty busy fall. The couple times that I have been out has been pretty awesome, though. I mean, the last number of years, we've had some really mild winters in South Dakota, eastern half of the state. Pretty mild springs, a little wet, but it wasn't anything that I don't think impacted the birds too bad. So I mean, we've got numbers like you can't even shake a stick at. There's so many pheasants around. So I love that. I'm an addict is probably the right way to describe it. I would like to say that I've given up most of my vices by now, but I'm just coffee and hunting. I'm going to keep them. I don't really care. So I'll do more than my fair share of both of those, given the opportunity. But yeah, I've been out a couple times. My dog Penny, I mentioned, she's getting older. She hasn't been out working as much. She's a little bit slower. I'm at that point where now I got to start thinking about adding another dog, so that she can show her the ropes a little bit. But no, it's been a ton of fun. We live on a farm here in South Dakota, and I've got some vegetation around our place that when I do see a bird, I wouldn't really call this hunting, but there's plenty of pheasants even right around our farm. So I'll just go up behind the barn quick. I thought I heard something cackling over there. We'll send the dog out and get after it. We've gotten a couple of those, but no, it's been awesome. It's been really nice weather. I have no complaints other than the fact that I'm not doing it enough, but that's typically the case regardless of what's going on.
Always. It's always the case, and I grew up, cut my teeth in the North Woods, hunting upland birds, grouse and woodcock in the Great North Woods, and we didn't have pheasants. It was way too cold, way too much snow up there, no farm ground. We didn't have pheasants. But since I got out of college, even in high school, started hunting pheasants as much as I could, and it's definitely a passion, and South Dakota was a bucket list. I've been fortunate enough to hunt it several times in different places around the state. Every place I've been is awesome. The hunting is great. The people are awesome. It's just cool, and it's something that if I can do it with my dogs, I'm in. It's a ton of fun. I ran into a guy here that a local fella I know that he's retired. He's young. He retired young. I think he's probably mid 40s, maybe early 40s, and he's retired.
Excellent.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And I said, what have you been up to? And he's like, shooting upland birds in every state that I can possibly do it in.
That is awesome.
Yeah, he's just been running around the country with a buddy who's retired as well. They've been hunting Montana. They've been hunting locally and here in Wyoming. They've been hunting South Dakota, North Dakota. I mean, you name it, he's done it. And
that's awesome.
I'm kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of like, dude.
Yeah, me too.
And I said,
fantastic.
How was your deer season?
Great retirement plan. Just travel the country and shoot game birds.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I said, how was your deer season? Because in Wyoming, big game is king, obviously. Yep. We have some good bird hunting in certain places, especially waterfowl's very spotty. Where we have it, it's usually pretty good. Same with pheasants. We have some really good pheasant hunting, but it's not like South Dakota. It's not even like Montana.
Yeah.
He's like, deer hunting. He's like, I went out once with the nephew. He's like, till they legalize hunting deer with dogs, I'm probably not going to be all that interested in it.
Oh man.
I started laughing. I was like, yeah, I could see that. I can see that. Have to move to South Carolina.
Sure. There you go.
Oh man.
Well, my deer season, similar story, I would say on that front. We've got a bit of a family ground that we do a lot of the deer hunting and pheasant hunting on. Again, because of my schedule with the house project, I purposefully actually didn't turn this was a hard decision, but I made it. I didn't turn the cellular component on my trail cams. So I've got a whole bunch of trail cameras out, and I'm purposefully decided not to torture myself by sending me all the images of the deer that are walking through. So we have pulled a few cards. There's some good deer out there. I was able to get, I've got a couple youngsters. I got 4 kids. The oldest 2 are now, my oldest has taken took his 3rd doe with mentor tag, South Dakota mentor tag. You can take doe. So he's done that for the 3rd time now. And his younger brother, my 7-year-old, 8-year-old, has taken 2. So both those guys filled doe tags this year. Their mom filled the doe tag as well. So we do have the freezer stocked again. I'm in good shape there. Everybody's happy. I'm happy, other than the fact that I don't have any new trophies to display, but I'll get over that. There's time for that. And I've been pretty fortunate in that regard too. So no complaints.
Ah, cool. Well, I am going to lean on you a little bit about, we're going to have to get together and sit in a duck blind or a goose pit or something. Cause I know you told me you purposely avoided waterfowl hunting. You say you've got some pretty great ground living where you live. I'm sure you've got some great waterfowl spots.
Yeah.
And you've purposely avoided it because it's one more vice, as you say, that you don't need, but telling you're missing out.
You guys have to be right. I know that I'm the idiot in this equation, because everybody that I talk to about that is like, they just look at me and shake their head. It's like, you what? You don't, you have like, we've got the same the farm out here. We've got more cattail sloughs and little random wetlands that kind of sprouted up here half a dozen years back and have never gone away because of some pretty intense flooding that's been around. So we've got all sorts of little pockets, and even just field hunting. There's so many birds out by us during migration. So hit and miss, obviously, but it can be pretty impressive, honestly. Like, it's I deserve every bit of the grief that I'm not getting. But, for me, like I said, I purposely tried to avoid it because I know what pheasant hunting has done to me. I know what deer hunting has done to me. It essentially consumes me in the fall most years. So adding yet another, and everybody says that too, like, oh, you won't be a deer hunter anymore if you start waterfowl hunting. It's like,
yeah, see, I don't agree with that.
How much I love deer
buy
hunting.
that. And part of it is where we live, Reid, is I'm pretty blessed because most of our big game seasons are September, October. There's a little bit of stuff in November. There's some late season hunts that are pretty limited, cow elk type stuff.
Sure.
But by the time we get huntable numbers of ducks and geese, or good numbers, our big game seasons are pretty well over.
Right.
Now it does compete with the upland stuff, but here's the beauty. Like, you can't start hunting pheasants in South Dakota till what, 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, it's 10 o'clock now. It used to be noon.
That's right. I remember when it was noon. You can have a full day of duck hunting in before you even start hunting pheasants.
Yeah,
so you go out and you shoot your limit of mallards, maybe some honkers. You go get some breakfast, and then you go walk up a limit of roosters.
Warm up a little bit. And you go about.
And then in the evening, you go out and you shoot a buck. And you've got the South Dakota trifecta right there.
What could be better than that? That's a day, man. That is a day.
Oh, that's awesome. I used to laugh. There was an old guy that I taught school with, and kind of my mentor of Wyoming waterfowl hunting, really. Okay. And he used to brag about, back in the day when this area was a general elk tag that you could buy over the counter instead of having to draw it. He goes, we used to do and I'm not going to say the name of the place, but the such and such trifecta. And it was a bull elk, a limit of mallards, and a limit of roosters, all in the same day.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And I said, how often did you pull that off? And he goes, multiple times.
That's wild.
Multiple times.
I'm jealous of that guy. I want to do that once in my life.
Oh, dude.
Once, I'll be happy.
I mean, obviously things have changed. Accesses have changed. A lot has changed from the days he was talking about. But yeah, I mean, I could see where you go out first thing in the morning and tip over a bull, and if he's close to the road, you get him packed out quick, or maybe you load him whole if you're really lucky, which that doesn't hardly ever happen. And then you go hang it all up, go jump in a duck blind, and then that evening go out and shoot your roosters. I mean, I've never done it, but it would be something to try.
I can't even imagine. That'd be such a riot.
Well, I think the South Dakota trifecta is super doable. We should just make that happen.
All right. We should make a point next year. Let's make a point.
Get your house built.
Get a game plan to set up.
Because I got to apply for the South Dakota tag.
That's right.
It's not, I don't just get to come hunt. Although I'd bring dogs and decoys and just show up and you guys could shoot.
Yeah. There you go. Well, I'm obviously going to need some help in that department. I don't own a decoy, so.
Oh, we got you covered.
Help each other out in that regard.
Well, maybe you just come to Wyoming and hunt with me first and see if it's something.
Down 100%.
See if it's something you like.
I'll do that for sure.
Well, we're finally starting to get some birds, actually. Our weather has been crazy. Montana's been getting pounded. Other parts of the state of Wyoming are getting pounded, but we're in this banana belt here. And I walked out of the house this morning and it was 51 degrees.
Oh man.
Like t-shirt weather.
Yeah.
And we got a pretty good push of birds late last week over the weekend. And I need to go out. I'm trying to get a magazine out the door this week and then try to get some hunts in before Christmas. And I don't know if we're going to have birds to stay or not. We might just be chasing roosters.
There you go.
Because the weather's way too nice to be hunting ducks. So
yeah. Huh.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, Reid, I really appreciate your time, man. It's been a great conversation. A lot of fun.
Likewise. It's been great.
Super excited about the partnership. And I'm going to get you another gear list here via email.
Sounds good. Yeah. Shoot it over, man.
Dude, I was like, yeah, you got the wheels turning for sure. And I was rethinking some things, but great. Super grateful for you guys, man. And I'm very excited about where we're headed and excited to get together and actually meet face to face and do some hunting, whether it's pheasants or ducks or whatever it might be.
Yep.
It'll be fun. Happen. It'll be fun.
I'm down.
Well, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Wingmen Podcast. Remember to check out all of our partners, whether it's RuffLand Kennels and all the great stuff that they have, whether it be firearms, specifically shotguns, Federal Premium Ammunition, High Mountain Seasonings. I'm actually getting ready to put a video together with the newest High Mountain Seasonings jerky kit that is waterfowl specific. Going to make some goose jerky to show you guys how to use those kits. And, of course, the great folks at Kryptek and Reid's jacket that he's wearing, Leupold Optics.
There you go.
Yeah, I saw that. So, anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Again, Reid, again, thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet, Todd. Had a great time. Let's do it again.
Me too. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the field.